People, Deluded, I'm back again. Good evening, and I hope you're all doing well and safe this evening. Ironically, I haven't shot a video in the evening for a while. It's either extremely late or extremely early, so I feel a bit weird. But as you lot know, it's been an eventful international week for Arsenal. A bag of news is coming out. We've had COVID scares. Hopefully there's nothing on that. We've had player madnesses. We've signed Partey, and we're still on a high from signing Partey, regardless of that happening before. And I'm sure you've all seen today, well, yesterday you saw it was Ozil and Ozils versus the rest. I've told you that Ozil is playing a game of chess with the club. The club said, yeah, we'll see you one up. Now, if you've been listening or aware of the Daily Mail's report, I believe specifically journalist Sammy Bell, apparently Arsenal are set to reopen talks with Mesut Ozil about cancelling his contract early. As we know, Mesut Ozil in 2 months is actually free to talk to any team he wants in the world as long as they're not here. He could organise a summer move to Fenerbahce, which apparently his wife wants him to do. He could go MLS if his heart desires. Personally, people, I don't think he's got any desire to return to Germany, but there's also that. You can't rule out another Premier League team, you know, probably because of political views and him being very strong on such. He probably isn't going to go to China, and you know, it's a sad end to what's been a good career for Arsenal. I know many people say he didn't hit the heights and all of this, but when it's all said and done, he's probably one of the best players we've seen in the Emirates era. He did assist in our trophy drought. He has had good moments, you know. The problem is he hasn't pulled it out more often than not, and we didn't build a squad around him. Now, the last 3 years, 18 months in particular, hasn't been that Ozil, and it's been drama, Emre drama, club drama, you know. Nobody put a gun to Mesut Ozil's head to sign this contract. Same way nobody put a gun to the club and said offer it. You know, Ozil was in good form. In hindsight, it probably would have been best to let Alexis and Ozil go. But if we all could use hindsight, I'm sure all of you would have went to school and got A stars like myself. I would have tried to do the same. But we can't deal with that, you know. He deserved the contract at the time. Yeah, he held the club to not even to ransom, you know. To a degree in footballing terms, we were held to ransom and we're made to pay for it. So I understand it, you know, I understand it, it's needed to happen, you know. Mesut cannot, I'm not going to say he can't help us because he's a technical good footballer. I do think he could be used in the squad, but my personal view is why I believe that we need to move on from Ozil. Even if Ozil was to be a peripheral figure, we need men that are going to be here for the future, men that are more with the modern times. I get it. The problem is now with Ozil, I want this to happen, not because I want Ozil to lose his job or leave the club necessarily. What the fans are owed and what we need to, and Arteta at the very least, and the existing players, we move on, you know. This is just, you know, we're in an FA Cup final, and rightly or wrongly, you know, Ozil isn't there, but we've got a man that's earning £350 a week, our highest earner, which should 9 times correlate to one of your better players not involved in the squad. Is that because we're a good team, or is that we're so good we don't need to do that, or is there problems? I don't think the beef is with Arteta. I think it's a political one, and you know, I can't blame them, because if he's not going to be registered in Europa, if he's not going to be registered in the Premier League, he can't play any part. The FA Cup, yeah, but what, he can't. And it's costly, you know. If we want to terminate his contract, it's £13 million allegedly, you know. Are we that hell-bent on getting this man out of the club that, you know, we're gonna just say, you know what, well, obviously in instalments, we'll give you 13 million, which your contract would be worth. I could understand that, you know, if we want to keep it moving. Because for me, you know, every time he's not involved, this is an unnecessary question for Arteta. This is something that surrounds the players, and for fans, we're having a hard time of making sense of this. Now, I don't know if the latest training thing was because of PR people and they knew people were watching the training session, but you can see Ozil giving Arteta a fist bump, and he seems quite cool with the bunch of the squad. He doesn't seem like he's doing a mercenary thing or whatever beyond the fancy tweets and cheeky tweets, you know. So it doesn't appear that he's a disruptive figure. You hear Arteta saying he's fit and he's training and he's making it difficult. Ozil saying him the same, but he's not involved. So clearly, there's something that needs to be found out. And we'll never find out the truth until Ozil leaves this club and he writes a book. But at the same time, fans that need to walk on. We don't know what's going on with Ozil. So if this happens, for me, it's smart. It is very smart, because both Arsenal and Ozil can move forward. We can divorce, you know. I've never doubted Ozil loving his club and whatnot, but we need to separate. We need to move on, you know. He's had a comfy position, you know. He's in a fantastic position now he's not playing. We need to move on. I think it's smart. I think it's smart by the club as well. Same way I thought, you know, on top of the first and underlying reason is Ozil helps someone keep their job, referring to Ozils. The second reason is obviously it makes the club look bad, and obviously it puts pressure on the club, and obviously it gets people speaking. I think this is smart, because now you're going to see what Mesut Ozil's about. I know he says he wants to keep training and keep playing and all of this now, but if Arsenal are willing to pay out your contract, in theory, again, should you'd be able to take your money and sign for a next team. Now, wage demands has been a big problem as to Arsenal being able to get him on loan because no one wants to commit to it. Now, if you've took that 13 million from your last big contract, you know, and you're at 31 years of age, and for as great as he is in terms of marketing, your footballer career is short. You take your money from Arsenal. What's old with Arsenal? You know, he is damn right. He should be asking to get all of his 13 million, however they're going to pay it, you know, in installments, but make sure it's all coming to him. You take your money, you're a free agent. You know, if they agreed this tomorrow you're a free agent, you can sign for a next club. So we can really see if Mesut Ozil wants to play football, because you'd earn your money. You know, you could probably relax the terms of your next contract at whatever club, and you can go and play football by accepting this deal. If you don't accept it, yeah, we could hear, yeah, I want to remain part of Arteta's plans, I want to fight, and I'd get it. You know, if I won a couple of FA Cups for Arsenal and loved the club, I couldn't even tell you when Ozil's last game was. You know. I wouldn't want to go out like that. I personally wouldn't want to go out like that. So I can understand why he'd say he doesn't want to leave. But at the same time, if he says, no, I'm not taking it, I'm sitting on my hands, that tells me that obviously he's happy to collect his money, which is not a problem. But he doesn't necessarily want to play football. I get it. If he's comfortable in London, he's comfortable with the teammates, that's all great. But you're not playing football. You stand no chance of playing football this season. You know, you've been marginalised out of the team. You've not been involved. And I think it's been a sad end with Ozil and Arsenal. And I don't think either party has covered themselves in any glory. Clearly, someone at the club leaked the wage cuts, which was quite disgusting, and didn't reveal the other players. We all know by then Ozil had a witch hunt against him in general. So that was quite disgusting. I think Ozil's smart, you know, to play on the fact of I'm an employee. I'm a millionaire, but I'm an employee of a billionaire, you know, in £1 billion company, you know, and they're letting someone who's been there for 20 odd years leave the club. Someone that's missed their own, nobody told him to, so you can't really be applauded for it, but he's missed his own brother's wedding to work for Arsenal, and I'm saving him. You know, the very man that refused wage cuts and this and that and this and that, I'm using my money to do what the club should be doing. And again, you don't know how it works. You know, there are some people that probably didn't give a crap about Ozil, thinks he needs to go, but you know, fans are very emotional. There are probably a majority of fans who saw that Ozil thing and said, you got to bring him back in the squad, man. You can't bring him out. So I can understand. I can fully get this, people. I can fully understand this. But you know, like I said with Ozil, he could get his money here. You know, he could sign reduced terms at another club, which is still money but not the same. And also probably at your next club, you're gonna get a signing bonus as well, people. So it makes full sense for him to go. But it's a sad ending to what's been a decent career at the club for him, people. You know, UEFA have confirmed he's not in the Europa League. Him and Socrates, as said, are expected to miss out in the 25-man list for the Premier League. But it is what it is, you know. 2 months until January. Arsenal, like I said, are to reopen talks with Mesut Ozil ahead of the January transfer window over ending his 350k per week contract early. The Gunners, it is understood, approached Ozil about reaching a settlement agreement for the final 9 months of his contract over the past fortnight, but attempts proved unsuccessful. Apparently, it said Ozil wants his 13 million and his remaining 13 million, and as he should, he's entitled to that. But again, you know, this is the club trying to force him out, trying a new angle, because we couldn't farm him out on loan. We couldn't get him out permanently. We've tried to pull it at the feet of Ozil, and, you know, professional footballers want to play. Now we're forcing the issue and saying, all right, cool, you can do what you want, but you're not playing in Europa, you're not playing in the Prem. There's 2 months left. You know, that puts real pressure, because he can train as much as he wants. He's not playing for international football anymore. He's won the highest accolade you can as a footballer in the World Cup. What sort of hunger does he have? So you're going to really question, the fan base are going to question that now. It's like, okay, cool, you're not playing any football this year. We're offering you the chance to get to keep it moving, and you don't want to. Why is that? You know, is it because you want to, and it's admirable if it is that, you know, you want to fight and you want to prove you prove your worth to Arteta, I get it. But there'll be no logical reason, and it makes sense. Arsenal are trying to force their hand. And to be fair with you, you know, we've been told we've got no money, 13 million in installments, which should be there to pay Ozil's wages anyways, 45 million in cash, well, I say in cash, but dropped in a deposit. The money's coming out of somewhere. It's a sad end to Ozil, you know. I think I speak for most fans when you can say Ozil was a brilliant footballer, you know. He could have pulled it out. The team could have been built around him. He has been scapegoated, but all in all, he's a great footballer. You know, he's been a terrific servant of Arsenal through everything. You know, it's a misunderstood genius. It's just these last few years, he hasn't been Ozil. It's been mediocre, you know, and he has taken the piss a bit, pardon my language. But it's a sad ending. If you told me in 2013 Mesut Ozil of Real Madrid in 2020 is going to miss out on FA Cup finals, not play for months, Joe Willock will play ahead of him even if that's a thing, I would have said you're effing lying. This is a sad way to go out and, definitely not being able to say bye properly in terms of a performance, one little assist or one last goal or whatever. It is quite sad, people, but it is what it is. The club need to move forward. And for me, it is quite telling, and this is why I believe it's a political decision, because Arteta used him, how many games before the restart? After the restart, he barely featured. And if we look at it, we got Partey, we can't, I don't think we could have fixed. And listen, Partey's a good player going forward, so I'm not sleeping on his technical abilities. But if we look at it, he's a good player. He wins the ball back. He's a box to box. Him just being a good technical footballer and having great precision with his passing is just a bonus. But he's an athletic figure, a dynamic figure. You can't make anybody that in our side. You can't force someone to become that. So we needed to bring in a body. But in terms of creativity, it might not be my cup of tea. But for 2.5 months, you can kind of fix them in house. You can play Willian with Partey. Can you play Ceballos a bit further forward? Can you get the front three playing to their more potential and whatnot, and the other creative players? We can kind of chop and change, and you would think Ozil could be used as part of that in some capacity, which is why I believe it's a political decision. Definitely why you can't do moves for the next 2 months, at least in January. I want Ozil to leave, not because I dislike him, but I think the club and Ozil and the fans, we all need to come to a resolution. I just want to be able to look at Arsenal for what it is. If it's not Ozil, it's a story with somebody else. And the one bad thing is, after bringing in Partey, confirming new deals for Martinelli, Saka and Aubameyang, and bringing in Gabriel and things, we've still got question marks over Mesut Ozil. For one, he's playing no part, and this is where it is now. And you've also got question marks over several players that didn't secure moves away. So there's a lot to be done, people. It is quite sad, It's not the way to end up. And, Ozil has bigged up his 25 million subscribers, people. He's 25 million subscribers on Twitter as well. And that's probably why, the club have been trying to chat to you for the last 2 months. You've probably maintained that you're not going to leave, and something's had to give. They've had to try something else. And I think Arteta wants to use you based on his language, but I think it's above him decision, and he can't really get involved in it, really, But at the same time, Arteta doesn't scream to me a yes man, a man that will do something because he's told to within reason. So again, it might be another reason. Either way, we need to move on from Mesut Ozil, man. We really need to move on from Mesut Ozil and this drama that surrounds him, people. Which is quite sad. In other news, Dejan Ilev has joined Shrewsbury Town on loan until January, people. He needs to go and get football. 25 years of age now. He needs to go and play regular football. And he's probably our third choice keeper or whatever. According to latest reports, Milan have a high regard for Ozil and could move for him in January with a small outlay. Apparently, Rome, Napoli and Fiorentina are all interested in him. So again, Ozil, if you can get your 13 million or what's due, obviously he's not going to get it all at once, but if you could get your money due to you and you can get a move to Italy, that's one last adventure. You've played in Spain, you've played in Germany, you've played in England. Can you go there, with the artistry and things? That's, going to Italy at 31, you might as well be going there at 21. Do you get it? And I think the club are smart. In the same way Ozil was smart with the Gunnosaurus thing yesterday, Arsenal was smart with this, because it's now with the feet at Ozil. If you reject this, why? Are you going to say because you believe you can force a way into the team? But you're not registered, so you can't. At least for 2.5 months, at least, you might get your head down and be registered in January. Or do you want to go out and play football? People are going to see it. Or do you even, I don't agree with it, but to play devil's advocate, they're going to question how much do you still want to be a footballer? Because let's say he says no and says, I'm getting my 13 million anyways, I just want to coast, And obviously we see the sponsorships. I'm just talking about Twitter. I don't agree with this, but I have a duty to cover all angles, You can see how, if you don't want to be a footballer, it's a bit like Bale. If Bale doesn't go to Spurs, I don't think Bale moves anywhere, He was happy to be doing up golf, sleeping on the thing and whatnot. You're getting paid a lot of money. I'm not questioning their professionalism, but it is what it is. So we're going to see what he's really on, and maybe the Milan talk is worse, people, because the Milan talk, Ivan Gazidez, it's easy to link, man, with that team, people. So we'll have to see what happens. We really have to see what happens. In regards to transfer news, apparently, you saw Saliba wasn't named as part of the squad, and we're still working on a loan move for him. So we'll see what happens in that regards, people. But in relation to Ozil, it's a bit of a sad end to it. Hopefully the club can come to a resolution with that. On that note though, while I have nothing more to say, I'll please implore you, please hit up the like button. Let's keep scoring higher in the YouTube rankings and tricking this algorithm, you know. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. I'd love to hear your comments on this Mesut Ozil saga, which I'm sure a lot of you have many different and diverse things to say. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. As long as we're speaking from a place of sincereness and, you know, we're being fair, that's fine, people. Of course, with Ozil, people are happy to see the back of him. People are upset to see him go. You know, you've got people that are very much, you know, anti-Ozil. Same way some people are anti-immigration, anti-Ozil. You know, I'm not saying that they're being racist. I'm saying, you know, that's how some men move. And then obviously you've got Ozil fanboys who will tell you about pre-assists. You know, Ozil never scored the goal. It was a 19-pass move, but he started the move with pass number 2. I mean, what's all of that? Do you get it, people? Where you have some people in the middle, like myself and the majority of you. Ozil's a bad boy footballer, but the time has left him now. The time has been and come. We need next man that are on this. We need a modern day midfielder. You know, it's adapt or survive. You know, James Rodriguez is adapted to Everton. David Silva, who I'd describe as poetry in motion, adapted the minute he walked in. You know, Ozil has shown in patches that he will do it. He will, and at times he has been scapegoated, but it just hasn't been enough. And like I said, the team hasn't been built around him. But somewhere along the line, without speaking about all of them, Mesut Ozil needs to be responsible, and he has played within himself. He hasn't, you know, he's been met with friction, and he hasn't really been you know, reacted to it in a positive way and gone off. The only time I saw that is when he spent a period injured and he came back. Can't remember the year, but he came back kind of wedge people. So like I said, hopefully there's a resolution to this conflict. But for now, it's always a pleasure. DG, I'm out.